Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. If you're in need of a Spanish interpreter, we do have an interpreter available. You can join the Spanish meeting at bit.ly/2023FP-ESPANOL or by calling 1-936-755-1521 and dialing the participant code 895-986-781#. And first, please let me introduce the Housing and Community Development Director, Mr. Bynum, who will say a few words.
Good afternoon, welcome. Welcome to this virtual Fall 2023 community meeting. I'm Keith Bynum, Director of Housing and Community Development. This is our first of two fall community meetings. Thank you for joining us virtually this afternoon. We will be hosting an in-person meeting next Tuesday evening at Emancipation Park Cultural Center. Purpose of our meeting and our mission is to make investments that serve Houstonians' housing needs and build a more equitable city for creating safe, resilient homes and a vibrant, healthy communities where residents can thrive. Throughout this meeting, you will get an idea of the work that we have done to accomplish this mission. This afternoon, presentations will cover program outcomes with our entitlement funds from the last reporting year. And we'll talk about how we plan to, our plans for the future. Ultimately, our goal is to hear from you about how we can improve the lives of Houston households. As we prepare for the new action plan year, you are critical to helping us understand the needs of Houstonians. So please stay engaged, give your input during the public hearing segment and the discussion groups because we want to hear your thoughts on how we can improve. Thank you again. I'm excited to see so many attendees at this meeting. Thank you for participating in today's meeting, and we're excited to hear from you. So back to Mary Itz, who will take you through the presentation.
Thank you, Director. My name is Mary Itz, and I'm with the Housing and Community Development Department on the planning team. Today's presentation slides are currently available on the housing website, and we're recording this meeting, and it will be available on our website soon, so please be on the lookout for that. Lastly, your microphones are currently muted, but you'll have access to the chat. We're asking everyone to please be mindful of what you put in the chat. We want to limit that space for those who want to make a public comment. So if you do want to make a public comment, please indicate that by putting your first and last name in the chat. And we'll also be asking a few questions along the way during the presentation. So we'd love to know a little bit about you before we start the presentation. In the chat, please tell us what super neighborhood you're from. And if you are representing an organization, you can also drop that in the chat. I'll wait to see if anyone answers, and we'll be updating in the chat along the way. We have some community partners from LISC Houston and the Women's Home and 5th Ward CDC and Hall and 5th Ward CRC. So we have a partner from the Houston Health Department. So thank y'all very much for being here today. This is an overview of our meeting. First, we'll give you an overview of our department and our annual grant process. Then we'll discuss some recent accomplishments from this past year. Next, we will discuss the development of the 2024 Annual Action Plan. Then we'll have a public comment session. So after the presentation, we'll have a public comment session. And if you are interested in making a public comment, please indicate that by writing your name in the chat. And then lastly, we will have breakout sessions where we'll hear from you about your priorities for housing and community development. Now I'll give a brief overview of the Housing and Community Development Department, the strategic planning process, some of our recent accomplishments, and then a summary of the housing and community development activities that we're currently undertaking. At the Housing and Community Development Department, we envision a city where everyone has a home that they can afford in a community that they can thrive. We achieve this vision through several ways. We provide affordable homes, community and economic development, along with infrastructure, neighborhood, and supportive services. We work towards this mission using 9 goals. We preserve and expand the supply of affordable housing, expand home ownership opportunities, and provide assistance to persons with HIV and AIDS. We also reduce homelessness, improve quality of life, revitalize communities, promote healthy and safe environments, foster community and economic development, and promote fair housing. We strive to meet one or more of these goals through the programs and services we provide each year. We apply for the federal grants that help us do this work. Each year we receive about $50 million through 4 federal formula grants from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD, to serve primarily low and moderate income residents. For the current year, we received $52 million through 4 entitlement grants. Our largest, most flexible grant is the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, which totaled almost $25 million. We received $11.9 million in Home Investment Partnerships grants, or HOME, $13.2 million in Housing Opportunities for Persons with HIV/AIDS, or HOPWA, and $2.1 million in Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG. Now I'll describe these 4 grants in a little bit more detail. The Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG funds, are most flexible of our funds and can be used to support a wide variety of activities. With CDBG funds, we repair homes, expand home ownership, provide public services, foster economic development, and improve or develop public facilities. With our Home Investment Partnerships grants, or HOME funds, we build or rehabilitate affordable homes for renters and homeowners. With our Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, or HOPWA grant, we provide housing and social services for people with HIV/AIDS and their families. And with the Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG funds, we provide shelter and supportive services for people experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness. While anyone may benefit from our programs, we primarily serve low and moderate income households and residents. Another name for low and moderate income households is LMI households. A household is considered LMI if they make 80% or less of the area median income. So to the right, we have provided a breakdown of the income household size for LMI households. For example, a 1-person household would be considered LMI if their household income was $52,200 or less. And a 4-person household would be LMI if their income is less than $74,550. The map on the left shows areas in Houston that have been designated low and moderate income areas. It's important to understand that as we develop the annual action plan, we are anticipating that our federal grants will continue to primarily benefit low and moderate income populations. So what are we doing this afternoon? Our goal is to discuss how we meet our mission every year by the work that we do. So first, we're going to talk about the Housing and Community Development Department has accomplished over the past year, which can guide us how we want to operate in the future. This information is included in the document that we call the CAPER, or the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report. We will also talk about the 2024 Annual Action Plan. Every year, we receive about $50 million in federal funding, so we develop the Annual Action Plan, which reports our department's strategies in addressing housing and community development needs in Houston. The plan does many things, but two major components of the plan are that it outlines our goals and establishes how we will allocate the $50 million in the next year. We will give more information as the presentation goes on, but I want to illustrate the differences between these two documents. The CAPER reports on the goals and expenditures from the previous year, while the Annual Action Plan defines the goals and budgets for the upcoming year. And we want to hear from you. We want to get input about how to develop the plan, and that we want it to meet Houston's needs. In order to receive grants like CDBG and HOME, HUD requires that we submit an annual action plan every year that outlines the actions we plan to take to serve the community with those $50 million. More specifically, the 2024 Annual Action Plan will set the strategies and actions we will take from July 2024 through June of 2025 that will help address Houston's housing and community needs through activities like home repair, public facility improvements, multifamily developments, and other activities. This is the fifth and final year of the current consolidated plan cycle. Next fall, we'll begin to develop not only the 2025 Annual Action Plan, but we will also begin the development of our consolidated plan, which is our new 5-year strategic plan that will guide our housing and development activities from 2025 through 2029. We work through this cycle on an annual basis. We are currently holding our fall community meetings to review our accomplishments from the past year that were reported in the 2022 CAPER document and plan the development of the 2024 Annual Action Plan. After we develop the draft Annual Action Plan, we will come back to you during the spring community meetings to make sure we got the action plan right. After making necessary changes based on comments, we will then submit the Annual Action Plan to HUD. Once the plan's approved by HUD, we will implement these strategies over the course of the next year. At the end of the process, we report goals and expenditures from the action plan through the CAPER. These meetings are important because we want to enable the community members to suggest priorities on a given topic and gather community support. We do that through sharing information and having live facilitated discussions with you like today. And we want to hear back from you, and that's why we're asking feedback today. We'd like to know how familiar y'all are with the Housing and Community Development Department. So please in the chat, write down A, B, C, or D. That best describes how familiar you are with the Housing and Community Development Department. A is if you've partnered in the past with our department. B is you are very familiar with our work. C is you're somewhat familiar with our work. And D is you're not very familiar right now, but you're looking forward to learning a little bit more this afternoon. So I think we have a lot of people who are somewhat familiar and are ready to learn this afternoon. So welcome, we're very glad to have y'all today. Let's talk about what we've done using the 4 federal grants over this past year. At the end of each CAPER, we evaluate the work that we have accomplished, and this information is cataloged in our CAPER, Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. The CAPER details accomplishments and expenditures from the past year. If there were any challenges in meeting our goals, we address those as well. This past year, we continued reporting on accomplishments and expenditures with CARES Act funding, which is additional funding provided by HUD to address the COVID impacts in our community. The last completed program year started July 1st, 2022, and ended June 30th of 2023. After the year ended, we started gathering the accomplishments that occurred over the past year from our program areas. Each year, the draft CAPER is available for public comment around the 1st of September. We have a 15-day comment period where we solicit input from the public about how we spent our funds and our accomplishments. Once that comment period is over, we respond to any comments, and we submit the report to HUD for review and approval. Today, we want to highlight some of the successes that have happened over the past year. So let's take a look at what we've done during the 2022 program year. This past year, we completed repairs on 14 homes, and this is using our entitlement funding. We provided financial assistance to 15 families to help purchase a home, and we provided funds for the construction of 54 new multifamily rental homes. These were all for low and moderate income families. Over the past 3 years, we've repaired 76 single-family homes for low and moderate income and families, and provided 36 low and moderate income families with home buyer assistance to assist them to purchase a home with CDBG funds. We've also, in the past 3 years, funded construction and rehab of over 250 multifamily affordable rental homes. Over the last year, we served 1,100 people with homeless prevention services with emergency solutions grant funding to prevent individuals and families from moving into emergency shelter. We funded services like rental assistance, security deposit assistance, utility deposits, or payment assistance, or legal assistance, or credit repair. We assisted 1,300 families with rental assistance and rapid rehousing. So rapid rehousing helps to rehouse people that are experiencing literal homelessness, and we move them into permanent housing as quickly as possible. With funding from the HOPWA grant, so the Housing Opportunities for Persons with HIV/AIDS, we assisted 758 families impacted with HIV/AIDS, with rental housing and also rapid rehousing. To almost 21,000 people were assisted through job training, childcare, youth enrichment, and other social services that we funded with our partners in the community. Through our Section 3 program, we reached almost 7,000 individuals and businesses with information about the Section 3 program at 177 outreach activities in the last year. We'll discuss a little bit more about the Section 3 program later in the slides, but this program helps to foster local economic development. We also funded the removal of lead hazards from 45 homes through a partnership with the Houston Health Department. Last year, we continued a variety of fair housing initiatives. We partnered with 4 organizations to provide fair housing outreach and disaster preparedness. These organizations were trusted messengers in the community and provided information in the communities that they served and targeted residents that may not have received information from the usual channels. Then at the landlord and property manager fair housing workshops, we provided detailed information about best practices for how landlords can abide by fair housing regulations. We also provide a fair housing and tenant landlord presentations to community groups throughout the year. So let's talk about what we've done using the four federal grants through the past year or in the future. So now that we've talked about some of what we've done in the past, we will now talk about what we want to do over the next year. Every year we create a strategic plan that sets the strategies for the work that the HCD accomplishes. This plan addresses Houston's housing and community needs, and it's called the Annual Action Plan. Again, this is a forward-looking plan that will talk about strategies for July 2024 through June of 2025. This plan will outline annual goals and strategies for allocating the $50 million in anticipated HUD entitlement funds. Ultimately, it addresses how HCD will improve housing and public facilities, supportive services, infrastructure, and the quality of life for low and moderate income Houstonians. As discussed earlier, we are currently hosting our fall community meetings to receive community input. And from now until March, we'll be developing the draft annual action plan. In March and April of 2024, we'll host the spring community meetings and a 30-day public comment period to get feedback on the draft 2024 annual action plan. And then we'll submit the final annual action plan to HUD in May of 2024. The next slide will cover the program and services that we hope to continue in the next year. The Single Family Home Repair Program evaluates damaged homes and provides and helps make repairs needed or reconstruct a home that's needed to protect the homeowner's life, health, and safety. You may be eligible for home repair services if you meet 5 basic criteria. You must own your home. If that home must be your primary residence. Property taxes must be current, and your household income must also be at or below 80% of the area median income, like we discussed in a previous slide. And then it also must be out of the floodway. Another program is we work to expand homeownership opportunities for Houstonians through several different programs. The City of Houston Homebuyer Assistance Program provides financial assistance up to $50,000 to eligible low and moderate income households desiring to purchase a home within Houston. This CDBG assistance may be used to pay up to 50% of the required down payment assistance, reasonable closing cost, and also reduce the principal amount of the first mortgage. The amount of assistance available per the home buyer was recently increased from $30,000 to $50,000 due to rising home prices and interest rates. The City of Houston is partnering with nonprofit organizations that are designated community housing development organizations, which are also referred to as CHODOs, to build homes for purchase by low and moderate income families. Currently, we are providing home funds to 2 organizations, A Caring Safe Place and Change Happens, to build new homes in Setagast and Acres Homes neighborhood. The Affordable Home Development Program is not funded with federal funding, but it is another way that our department funds the expansion of home ownership opportunities in Houston. The program works with nonprofit and for-profit developers to build affordable single-family homes attainable for Houstonians earning up to 120% of the area median income. In addition, the city continues to partner with the Houston Community Land Trust that provides very affordable home purchase opportunities throughout Houston to many low and moderate income home buyers. Another way we achieve our goal to preserve and expand affordable housing is through our multifamily housing activities. We will build and rehabilitate multifamily rental homes across the city for low and moderate income families. We do this by soliciting proposals and selecting developments that will expand or rehabilitate affordable rental homes in the city. On this screen, this is an example of a recent new rental home development built by the Tejano Center for Community Concerns called Sunrise Lofts. Our department contributed $1.5 million in home funds to create this new community of 89 permanent supportive housing units for young adults aged 18 to 25. The new building offers apartments and services to young adults who are homeless, at risk of homelessness, or aging out of the foster care system. In addition to our housing activities, we also fund the improvement or development of public facilities to help revitalize communities. We solicit proposals and select projects that will help enhance and improve neighborhoods and also improve the quality of life for Houstonians. Here's an example of a recently completed public facility that we funded, Windsor Park. We worked in partnership with the Houston Parks and Recreation Department to enhance the park. Improvements include new concrete trails, a picnic pavilion, exercise stations, a splash pad, resurfacing the tennis court. Our department contributed almost $2 million for these enhancements. The Housing and Community Development Department also provides financial support to nonprofit organizations, as well as to other city departments who provide essential services to residents of Houston. These services include healthcare, childcare, job training, legal services, rental assistance, and more social services very similar. We also provide services to prevent homelessness and provide funding for housing services for persons with or families impacted by HIV/AIDS. Shown on the screen are a few examples of nonprofit organizations and other city departments that we partner with, but this is only a small subsection. Our Section 3 program helps low and very low income residents and local businesses by fostering local economic development. The program has begun hosting virtual technical assistance trainings to maximize program performance, provide guidance to contractors and project managers. Section 3 has a dashboard to enhance the utilization of contracting Section 3 business concerns and employing Section 3 residents with the click of a button. So now live on our website, developers, prime contractors, and vendors can identify Section 3 businesses and residents in proximity to the project and instantly gain top-tier details about businesses and residents. So as we wrap up this portion of the meeting, we wanted to know if you learned a little something new today. Please put in an A in the chat if you learned something new about our work today, and put a B in the chat to say you were already pretty familiar with what we are doing. I'm glad that we had some people learn something new today, so thank you for attending. Now we'll go into the public hearing portion of today's meeting. We want to hear from you. How can we enhance our projects? What will help our community? What kind of services does your family need? That's what the next segment is about. After taking a brief look at what we're currently doing, we want input on how we can help you and your neighbors. So remember, not only do we want to hear from you, we really want to hear from you for our 2024 annual action plan. So for those who are new to the process, we want to hear from you about our goals and how we should allocate our funding. And so ultimately tell us how we can help better serve you and your neighborhood. And now I'll pass it over to Derek Sellers, who will run our public comment portion of this meeting.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here with us for this annual action plan public hearing. During this public comment portion, this is your opportunity to provide us with a public comments, and we want to hear from you. If you want to make a public comments, you can join us on the ways currently shown on the screen, or you can call in toll free at 936-755-1521 and use the ID of 256-785-062#. We also have a Spanish translator, and for that service, you can call 936-755-1521, and for that ID, use 895-986-781#. Okay, so for the normal process of a public hearing, this is being amended, but we still want to adhere to some house rules around this. Each speaker is going to be given 3 minutes to provide your testimony. There will be prompts on the screen to let you know how long you are into your 3 minutes. Yielding time to another person is not allowed. I also want to note that this testimony is being recorded. It's going to be transcribed. It's going to be included as part of our action plan submission to HUD. I want to be clear, this is not a Q&A session. This is a public comment session. Summaries, as I stated in responses, will be included as part of our final action plan submission. So what we'll do is we'll unmute you when your name is called to make a public comment. We'll ask that you state your name for the record, and then begin your comments. And so how we'll start is using the MS Teams. You can see it on the top bar, the top ribbon of MS Teams. You can see that hand raise emoji. So click that, and I'll call your name, and then you can begin your comments. And so we'll go through those first. And as I said, please state your name first and then go into it. So I'll just go down the listing here as I see them, and then maybe with a little help from the planning team, if I miss somebody, we'll make sure we'll get to you. So first up, I see Anna Sabito. Would you like to go first? Make sure.
Yes, please. Thank you. Is it okay for me to start?
Yes, absolutely.
I would love to see a recycling center available for Precinct 1. They have recently put in a lot of lovely new parks, and as a moderate income family, I believe that there is a lot of dumping in the new parks because there is no recycling center available to us any longer. We used to be able to use the Sommermeyer Center, and they say that that's for Harris County residents only, and they say that our address is not there, but we do pay our taxes to Harris County. And so I see in the neighborhood group chat also on Nextdoor, a lot of people complaining that they can no longer use that Sommermeyer Recycling Center. And so I believe a recycling center for Precinct 1 would be an excellent use of funds. Moderate income families need to take care of some of the big removal of things themselves, and they cannot afford the heavy dumping fees for some of the places that you have to pay to dump those materials. So if you take down a large tree and the trash people won't take it, or you have large cement, we're seeing those things dumped at our parks because no one will take them and they can't afford to dump them at the regular places. I'd also love to see a bark zoned to Precinct 1. Nobody can drop off kittens or dogs at Bark because they tell us our addresses aren't zoned there. There was a lady next door that died because she took in 15 cats. And I believe that those cats went to the bathroom in there and she breathed all of that in. But there was nowhere for her to take them. I tried to take some of the kittens to Bark and they refused us, saying our address wasn't eligible. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Those are my recommendations and suggestions. I believe that these things would definitely help moderate income families as well as low income families. And they would be in great improvements to Precinct 1, Harris County. Thank you.
Thank you. Give your comment. And make sure after you do your comment to take your hand down so I don't accidentally come back to you. Next up, Ms. Gladys Housel. I'm going to unmute and begin your comment. You're still muted. You go into your upper right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see that mic. And if you'll you just touch
Okay,
there,
can you hear me now though? Can you hear
yes,
me now?
ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
good.
I've got you.
I'm just concerned, and I know this is just a comment, period, that out of all of the hundreds of millions of dollars received by the City of Houston's Housing and Community Development Department, not 1 cent has come into Freedmanstown, 4th Ward of Houston, to address affordable housing. It can be to rehab the historic housing in the community that remains, or the historic brick streets, or whatever. To construct a youth center that's truly needed, and the City of Houston blocked our construction of our youth center back in 2005 under Mayor Bill White. So I'm just concerned that when you all do your assessment at the end of the year about all of the wonderful things that you've done for other neighborhoods, why is it that our proposals are always overlooked? And I hope that HUD will review our concerns in the comments and contact us, because the City of Houston's Housing and Community Development Department should not be allowed to continue with what appears to be discriminatory practices and policies. And the previous director of Housing and Community Development, he tried working with us, but he said the mayor would not ever give him the okay. And that is totally ridiculous. But it is what it is. I don't want to see anyone else being fired. So in any event, I hope that economic development and job training will also be listed in our activities. Sorry about that. And that someone in housing and community development will begin to contact us, not people who do not live in our neighborhood of Freedmanstown, because that's been done by this present administration, unfortunately, but to contact us, the CDC of Freedmanstown, the Genesis Affordable Housing, the Yates Printing Museum. So we're just concerned that we continue to be overlooked and redlined, and that needs to stop. But thank you anyway for your efforts.
Thank you for your comments. Next up, I've got Deborah Moran.
Hi, I hope can you hear me okay? I have
Yes,
the correct
ma'am.
mic. Okay, so I'm Debbie Moran, and I've been lobbying for much better quality of lighting in Houston. I was just going down Hillcroft last night, and the fastest way I can illustrate this is with the lamp we often use. So we have way too much lighting, that security lighting looks like this, and way too little. So get it to a warmer color that looks like this. And for that reason, we're using far more wattage for far less visibility in Houston, and it's become an environmental justice issue because the problems are much more pronounced in the lower income areas, and both the businesses and the apartment complexes. And it's a matter of education. It doesn't actually cost a lot to do warm shielded lighting instead of very bright white pointed outward lighting. But because of that, the solutions are not just public infrastructure. Most of the worst lighting is private. And I've tried proposing that Vision Zero funds and One Safe Houston funds be used to help businesses correct some of the worst lighting. So an example, we did a block walk with Precinct 4, and they showed a food truck area on Glenmont that they expect to develop further, but there was a pole-mounted light, 2 really bright white lights pointed straight down Glenmont, and the people crossing to the food truck area were barely visible. And this is a matter of turning a hinge downward or changing the fixture for using even lower wattage. But it's very, very easy to fix, very low cost, but it's a private lighting that has to be fixed for the most part. And I did want to mention a couple websites. Ours is softlighthouston.com, On the home page, you can see a new commercial lighting ordinance, but it's only for future lighting, our disappearing pedestrian video, and our album of glare at auto pedestrian accident sites. It's prominent at a lot of high-profile accidents. And then there's a new organization called lightjustice.org, and it was founded by a Black lighting engineer. There's another member, a Black woman named Robin Miller out of Philadelphia. She calls this lighting assaultive and crazy making. So it can also affect mental health. It affects sleep. The sleep affects mental health, etc. And I sent you some photos.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Thanks.
So in my review, I've not seen anybody else with their hand raised. If you'd like to make a public comment, you can use that. It's in the top ribbon right next to the people or react. If you'd want to, you just raise your hand if you're on Teams, and we'll call your name. If you can't quite find that, feel free to drop your name in the chat, and I can do it that way as well. So we'll give it another minute or so and see if anybody else is interested that's here on Teams right now. All right, so we do have several people right now that are joining us via their phone. If you're on the phone and you would like to give your public comment, what we'll ask you to do is press *6 to unmute yourself, state your name so that we have that, and then you can feel free to start your testimony. And as I said, you have 3 minutes. So if there's anybody on the phone right now that would like to do a public comment, just hit *6. All right, well, I want to thank everybody that provided their comment today. As was mentioned earlier, we will be doing an in-person public hearing next week, next Tuesday evening, and I'm sure that'll be mentioned again at the end of this presentation. So if something else comes about that you think about as a result of this presentation, feel free to join us and provide your comment to us at that event Tuesday nights. But at this time, I'll turn it back over to Mariette to continue our presentation.
Thank you, Derek. Now we'll go into our breakout activity. So we'll have a couple staff members who will be guiding the discussion in our breakout activities. And so I'm going to open up the breakout rooms, and you will, in a few seconds, go into a breakout room. So we look forward to hearing from you. We'll gather back all together after the breakout rooms and kind of hear from what the different breakout rooms said, and we'll wrap up the presentation after the activity. So thank you, and in a few seconds you'll be put into your rooms. And we'll be calling everyone back into the main room, and so we'll be thank y'all for participating in our group activity. We really appreciate all of your comments and your great discussion. I know all of our groups had great discussion. We'd love to hear back a little bit about what y'all discussed in your groups. Group 1, Carrie, would you, is there anyone from your group who would like to talk about what y'all discussed for a minute or two?
Sure, I believe there was someone who wanted to describe what they felt was a good budget. If they're still on the line, did you want to go and speak up and give a quick overview? So ours was a good conversation. We had, I think, the majority of our funds go to the single family homes, with a healthy amount in the services for homeless and multifamily. There were comments about the importance of the services for homeless and multifamily homes, specifically for the homeless population. We also touched on environmental design, preventive measures, improved or less stressful lighting, and also encouraging community partners to invest in public facilities, among other things. So I think it was a good session.
Great, I'm so glad. Group 2, would y'all like to talk about your priorities, Kim?
Sure. Okay, so our group, we did focus as well on single family. We had a lot of input going towards single family as well as public services, homelessness and economic development, but our priority was mostly helping single families and building multi-family units, things like that.
Great, thank you so much. And then Yolanda, did you, how was the telephone group? What were the
telephone group
priorities?
were great. I spoke with several ladies, Tiffany with Distinctive Dwellings, Angie, who lives in the CUNY home area, and Marla Lewis all participated. Some could not unmute their phones, but from their conversations, what I gathered are two things. They'd like to get better access to the information that we are offering from the city of Houston. It seems as though this information is not widely available throughout Houston, and they were concerned about that. Angie mentioned, of course, grocery stores in the area. She had a concern about that, and she would also like to know how she could work with some of the agencies that are building in the neighborhood, should she choose to do so. Also, we talked about safety, affordability. We also discussed information about the different challenges that they find in their neighborhoods, and all of these questions were widely discussed. We do have some questions that I have answers to. I'll be happy to share them with you whenever we get together so that we can have a further discussion about them. But all were very happy with what we're doing thus far and would like to see more information moving forward.
Great, thank you so much. On December 15th, or every Wednesday, we hold community office hours, and we also have on-site certification for our Section 3 program. So please go to our website, sign up for our email listserv, and please, we have upcoming sessions soon. And if you know anyone who can participate in this meeting on next Tuesday in Emancipation Park, we'd love for more people to attend. So thank y'all very much. If you would like to learn more, please go online to our website, our public hearings page listed here. You can also go online, and I would love to have Director Bynum do closing remarks if he is still online, and if not, we'd love to hear your feedback. And so we have a SurveyMonkey online, and we would love to get your rating of how great this meeting was today. I think I'll pass it over to Derek Sellers, who can close us out.
So first up, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out of your day to join us. Your attendance here shows just how much you care about the city and our community. And I hope you've learned more about what our programs are and what some of the ways that we're helping Houstonians. We appreciate and enjoy this opportunity to engage with you, to hear from you as we prepare our 2024 annual action plan. As we stated earlier, there are multiple ways for you to provide your thoughts and opinions, so please take advantage of those. Your feedback is essential to its development. As always, you can go to our website, find out more about us. Our website is houstontx.gov/housing. It gives you more information about our department, our programs, and learn more about what we're doing in Houston. Also, if you go to our main landing page, if you go all the way down to the bottom in the right-hand corner, you can subscribe to our email list, and that lets you know about everything that we've got going on. It also, if you're a developer, a nonprofit, looking to be a partner or receive grant funds from our departments, we also send out our notices of funding availability, and that's the way we award funds through our different programs. None of this can happen without our departmental staff, everybody that's involved in this. It takes a lot of work to put these types of public hearings on and these virtual formats. So thank you to all of our departmental staff that helped put this on, that also attended today to listen to your comments and feedback. I hope everyone has a fantastic holiday season. Look forward to maybe seeing some of y'all next week at our public hearing Tuesday nights. If not, we have 2 more public hearings coming in the spring, and we'll have more information about that come out as soon as those dates and places are confirmed. And we hope to see you all soon. Have a great evening and stay safe and dry out there.